Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. 1 second, and we will get going. So, morning. All right, good morning, everyone. I am Algo, and thanks for joining me on another watch this building session. Today is, what is today? Oh, today is Wednesday, February 16th, 2022, and the big question is Russia going to invade the Ukraine today? Yesterday, the market kind of absorbed a bunch of news coming out of the White House, and we had a nice solid update where we did not backfill the gap, right? Which is super interesting. A couple other things. I noticed that on our futures setup, I was looking at the wrong option or the wrong futures contracts. I was looking at the minis. So I went ahead and switched those over to the ES, which is the full, I was looking at micro, sorry. I switched over to the ES, which is the full S&P 500 continuous contract. Yes, sir. And, yeah, so we've got a couple earnings to go over. I took a Roblox earnings trade yesterday. It had been a while since I'd taken one of those, so hopefully it's going to pan out all right. We do have an opportunity to redraw our Fibonacci levels on this new chart. I've got my Voodoo Lines up, and so we're going to go ahead and throw those on. Now, a couple things that's really, really important. We are in a corrective Elliott wave pattern. Are we setting up for the double whoop? Right, today is Woo Wednesday. Welcome. Shout out to the Wu-Tang Clan. We love your music. Listen to it all the time. Right, all right, there we go. So to begin with, if you're new, joining the stream, thanks for joining me. I am Algo. I review the news, futures, overall market conditions, any sort of economic data that is coming out, and we try to find some stocks or options that are going to make a greater than expected move. We've been doing really good with that lately. Shout out to all of our partners. We really, truly appreciate the services they provide. FlowTrade, Predicted Trades, and Before Indicator is something we are working on, a partnership with them. And if that follows through, then we will have a complete trading package that has individual pieces that all work in harmony to be yeah, I'm going crazy, to provide a great experience. So if you're never drawn a Fibonacci level before, just watch and you can go back and rewatch this video. So you want to take the high point to the low point, right? That is the initial retracement from previous high to current low. As you can see, right, I've got the 50% and the 618 retracement up on this by default. I'm going to go ahead and drop the 382 in there. That's one of the most popular ones as well. And we can kind of see what happened. Price action pulled back, it rallied up. It made a 618 retracement from this level. If it had broken above it, then this, right, then this new trend had begun. Okay, it didn't really close above it. We rallied up to it, pulled back to the 382. If we'd fallen below that, we would have been in a downtrend. We retested the 618, fell out of the 382, got back up into it, and we were just kind of riding right above this 200 SMA on the daily, right? This is the S&P. Now, the other thing that we can do is we can kind of forecast a new direction. What we would use for that is the extension, right? This is a retracement tool. It's 2 points of contact from the high to the low. The retracement tool is 3 points of contact. I usually go from current low to current high, back down to current low. And the way I've got mine set up is it shows the retracement of the current move and forecast the extension of this current move. So what's happened is we've rallied up to this high, which is the 618 retracement from previous high. We retraced back to the 382, which is the key support level. If we had broken that, this trend, this uptrend would have been invalidated, and we would have been looking at a new trend to the downside. We held it. We rallied up above the 618 yesterday, looking to back test that for support. And then we start looking at the extension of that. So the 618 move to 127 or 1414 is this trend that we're in now. Okay. We do have some overhead resistance and some key levels there. We've got to get above the 50% retracement. We've got to get above the 618 retracement. We could easily, very, very easily just chop in this range for the next couple of weeks, going into the March 16th Fed meeting, which is this line here, right? So our charts are looking very similar to how we had them set up before. We did make it above and close above the 200% or the 200 SMA. We're currently below the 21. Now, a couple of things can happen here. We can rally to the 21 today, which would be the 45.10-ish level, and reject that and begin a downside move. We can also rally up above it using this snow line as a magnet, this 45.40 level as an upside target. Still a very valid move. I just got through doing some research on the Elliott wave potential moves from this. The market is got no motivation to go one direction or the other. It's kind of just being really lazy. It's kind of like, yeah, I can make this corrective move. You know, I could finish the corrective move to the downside. I could make a new high and start a new corrective directional move, or I can just be lazy. The market is being lazy right now. Okay. It doesn't have any clear direction or momentum, right? There's no conviction in the market. So I fully anticipate a chop and chop. Okay. Like I said, the targets for today would be the 21 retracement of the daily, which is currently coming in right around 45. Let's just call it 4,500, right? I think that's a good upside move. Downside, as long as we maintain support at around 44. Let's see, between 44.40 and 44.25, we've got some confluence there. We've got the 200. We've got the 382 retracement from this current move. We've also got the 382 retracement. So retracement and the 382 retracement from the high to low, and the 618 retracement from the current low to high, current directional move. Okay. Overnight. All right. So let's break this down to the 4 hour and kind of see what we've got going on pre-market. I am definitely going to start. I want to start looking at the market real quick. Then we'll get into the news. And before we end, we'll try to get one more look at the market. This is just really, really choppy, right? Rejected the 50-day, right? But we're above the 21. So there's going to be a 21.50 squeeze happening on this 4 hour, all focused around this mogul line. I'm going to do a little bit of research on the mogul lines to get a little bit better, clear definition for those. Until then, let's just go ahead and that's along this line. Hold on. Oh, no. Those are, what are these? Not moguls. Are they skylines? Like I said, I'll get into this, but yeah, okay. I'll do a little bit more research. There is this purple line that's pretty significant. If you're not familiar with the Voodoo Lines and what they are based on an Elliott wave predictive pattern, and yeah, I'll do a whole segment on it. Okay, but so what I'm looking at, purple line is previous close, right? We're working to get back up to the 50-day resistance. I would say above 44.83. Then we get that move up to 45.10. And even potentially as high as 45.40. Okay. That would be a pretty big move. Looking at it from a pattern standpoint, I'm not really seeing any sort of pattern here other than just a nice recovery, a little bit of a bull flag breakout into a new supply zone. There's lots of chop happening here. Bringing it down to the lower time frames. Obviously, we want to look at the 30-minute. So overnight, we had a nice little gap up yesterday that we maintained throughout the day. Very, very choppy, right? Lots of consolidation, little pop, little drop, right? We've got this giant confluence of the two. This is 30-minute now, the 215.21. We're trying to get those stack positive. If we can't hold this 200 on the 30, then we're going to look for a downside move and maybe give it a little bit more time to get some of that conviction behind it before we start moving in a direction, one direction or the other. Our 21 and 50 are positive and stacked appropriately. However, this 200 is causing some grief. So, and that's just going to be exacerbated as we get down into the lower time frames, right? Think about waves of the ocean, right? The waves are the daily and the weeklies, right? The surfers are like the 3 and the 5 minutes. Okay, so on lower time frames, we do have 5200 stack positive. However, that 21 is below the 50, so a little bit of negative momentum there. This kind of could be an H-shaped pattern. If that's the case, then we can anticipate some pretty significant pullbacks, right? We did gap up yesterday, so we've got a gap over here that it's got to be filled at some point, right? When? Not sure. But this gap, right, has got to be filled. There is a gap that needs to be filled. We didn't touch it yesterday because we were above the 200 on our lower time frames. We're slowly getting below those, so we just got to be careful, okay? Again, we are in the cold shower market. Treat it like a cold shower. You get in and you get out. Get back in, get out. Get in, get out. Get in, get out, right? Or it's the college frat party, hot tub, snow whitewash, right? Jump in the hot tub, jump in the snow, jump in the hot tub, whatever. I don't know if that really works. Like I said, this 200 is a downward force. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and break it out over into the NQ real quick so that I can get everything set up like we had it previously. All right. So one more thing. I need this guy. This one? I think it was that one. Yeah, baby. Here we go. All right. So this is the NQ, the Nasdaq E-mini futures continuous contract. I know, look, all the lines. The lines are fine. They'll disappear as I get zoomed in here. Okay, there we go. All right. So if we were to do the same thing that we did over there, I said, really, I remember this day. I was so happy about that day. All right. So same deal. Fib retracement from, we go from the high, right, to the low. Looks like we got some levels here. Let me get rid of these. Let me get rid of these guys. Okay, a little bit cleaner chart. Let's do a retracement and then let's do an extension. We can go from the wick high, right, new all-time high, to the wick low. So we bounced at 618, 618 held, 618 held, it fell. We came back, retested the 50% retracement. Couldn't get above it, couldn't get above the 50 again, right? We're still below the 200 on the Nasdaq. So when Nasdaq's got a negatively pointing 21 and 50, not super bullish on the Nasdaq right now. We have not been able to retest the 618 fully, right? Since we've had the new low. So we have a shorter term extension that we need to look at. So if we're going to go from low to current run high, back down to the low, right? This is a current move. Let's see if I can get this a little bit bigger for us here. Right. Rallied up, couldn't make a new high, failed the retracement, rallied up, rejected the 618 retracement of this move yesterday. So everything's kind of pushing us down. Right, the Nasdaq is definitely different looking than Dow. So tech heavy Nasdaq, gotta be sketchy. Nice little doji going into yesterday, the 14th. Rip off of that. Currently, nice little doji on Valentine's Day, which I was out. I didn't really see what happened that day. I went and got a root canal. So yesterday, big nice move up, doji, and so far today, we're gonna retest possibly the 21. And then possibly the 200. I'm not going to be bullish on the Nasdaq until we clear the 200 and we start a new direction. Not really seeing any specific chart patterns with this. That's a massive trading zone. I need to get rid of it. It's a little bit of a distraction. Bring it down to the 4 hour. Right, 4 hours struggling with the 50. We've got the 21 above us, so we've got a lot of overhead resistance here. All right, there we go. Lots of overhead resistance. We're melting up a little bit. We have not successfully closed above the 50-day yet. We've got a 618 retracement, overhead resistance. So on the Nasdaq, 14,670. 14,670 is resistance. There may be a magnet at about 14,800 or 14,875. That would be a nice move. Not super thrilled. This is a potential left shoulder. Maybe not. Yeah, my bad. So, yeah, we got to clear the 50-day. Like lower time frames looks really good. Nice little gap up right here. And this gap is going to have to be filled at some point. That 618 retracement, right? Pretty powerful. Could we chop in between these? We could. We did have a 50-200 crossover. So on our lower time frames, we're starting to get some strength. This directional SMA is still pointed down. If we get the curving up, it can start giving a little bit of momentum and volume following into it. We can get those moves up. Contrarian, we start breaking down. We retest this 50-day or this 50% retracement. Below that, there's a little snow. There's a grass line, tree line right here at 14,440. That's really the line in the sand. Above that, I think we can melt higher. Below that, I feel like we come back down and try to maybe even make a new low. Okay. All right. And then moving on over to the YM, which is the Dow, the dilly-dally daily Dow, right? On the daily, nice little rally yesterday, rejected. Couldn't get above the 200. We wicked up this morning and tested the 21 EMA. We're currently chilling at the 50% retracement from this low to high move, okay? Which I think I might need to, I need to change that, my bad. There we go, way more better, right? So from low to high, we've retraced to the 382, hit the 50%. See how the moving averages are flattening out, right? The 50 and the 20, or the 50 and the 200 are parallel and they're flattening, right? That's indecision, right? There's no clear direction happening there. On the 30-minute, we're going to make a decision today. We're going to look for the 50-200 crossover with the 21. If that goes bullish, then the Dow is going to be my favorite stock for the day. I would look for a new high. Right, I'd look for us to come up and test possibly this zone from where we're at currently to this previous high. That is a trading zone, and I need to grab one. There's some micro zones in there, but that's pretty much the big trading zone. So the key levels for today on the Dow would be above 34,933. Set an alert. If we get above that, then we can look at bullish moves on the Dow. If we reject that and we can't clear, if we can't get above the 200, like with conviction, very easily gap fill today. Okay. All right. And then finally, the old Russell. The Russell is actually probably set up better than most. Okay. All right. So I have not done a retracement or extension filled levels on this yet. We seem to be hugging this tree line, rejecting the snow line. This downward trending previous wedge, right? Resistance or support it's doing a good job. It's providing some support. So we're up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. So we need to make a new high today for the Russell, okay? If we follow our pattern, right, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For it to be a corrective wave, we would need to come up and test either the 50 or this snow line at 21.15, possibly 21.26. If we can't make a new high, then we look at a down cycle using the 21 EMA as support on the daily at 2050. If we break down below 2040, we have a downside move. Look to take out these previous lows, okay? right? We did break trendline support. It's very, very much a lot of indecision happening, right? Nice moves, nice moves. 200 is causing us grief, right? Below us, we got the 2150. Those are looking good, but we need that 50-200 crossover, okay? Lower time frames. I mean, it's just melting higher. There's a series of higher lows and higher highs, right? Come on. Here we go. 2150, 200. This is what we want to see. This is bullish, right? Very bullish. Very, very bullish. Okay. Those are just the quick levels for futures. And then gold was one more that was requested. I think we need to start looking a little bit more seriously at crude because of all the tensions that are happening. All right. Yeah, what's going on with gold? Remember, as like, oh, I hope this pattern doesn't happen, right? But it looks like it might be, right? Looks like it might be. So just chop, 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 chop. Currently dojing, we can either reject and pull back down, but since we've got 2150, 200, I think we might get a little bit of more of an upside move. If so, we would maybe wick up and make a new high, but the main meat and potatoes of this move is going to be in this trading zone. So we did make a new high, barely. Does that make sense? So super chop, a fragilistic choppy, choppy, chop, chop, chopping on gold. 4 hour, right? Rally, 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 drop. Held the 21. 2150, 200 on the 4 hour. That's bullish. Bring it down to the 30 minute. Right? Rally, 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 drop. Consolidation. All day yesterday we consolidated. Like nobody's business. Okay? 2150, 200. So we're bullish on our lower time frames. If I were to get long on gold, it'd be above 1560 for a move up to about 1860 to 1862. Profit taking at 1865. 1860, profit 1865, move 1872. If you wanted to see what fib retracement would be if we went from this high to this low, right? We've just hit the 382, so we're trying to excuse me, we're trying to avoid a longer downtrend, but we haven't done a very good job of stating our case. Okay, I'll work a little bit more on cleaning up this chart for I will work a little bit more on cleaning up this chart to get us some very specific levels. All right, we're going to use that. I would hate for that megaphone to be valid in gold. That would just suck, right? It would suck a lot. Keep an eye on what happens when this 200 hits this 50. If it 50 bounces and the 21 bounces, we get a move up. If it rejects, right? If the 200 crosses over the 50, so if we get this kind of move right here, this one where we got that great move up, kind of setting that up again today. Okay. And then finally, crude. Oh, I'll be right back. Ugh, I forgot to wake up my knucklehead. Right back. All right. The crude move, right? Well, it kind of did what we thought it was going to do, right? Big rally up. A little bit of a pullback, a little bit of consolidation. Do we get a bounce here and make a new high? So 618 retracement from this high to this low. Closed above it. Let's look at it on the 4-hour. It's doing its thing. It's doing its thing. So from this low, well, that's not even valid anymore. All right, I think crude comes up and makes new highs today. We might get a little bit of a pullback to support, right, to 92.43, and then we get an extended move to the upside. These little mogul lines are definitely going to be an issue. Okay. All right, let's bring this down to the 2 minutes so everybody can see what's happening. What's happening? That is an H on the ES. Kind of sketchy. Sketchy McSketchy. All right. That is an H pattern. Whoop, doop. That is a downturning pattern. Wow. Crude is slowly melting higher. Bonds are slowly melting higher. The yen is slowly melting higher. All right. This is bearish stuff happening down here. H shape fell out, retested the 200, couldn't hold, 2150 cross down, right? Yeah, this, we may open at lows. All right, so real quick, economic data for today. We do have some stuff that's going to affect the market coming in at 8:30, right? We've got retail sales month over month. Core retail sales and retail sales month over month, right? I don't even know what they're factoring in. No clue what they're factoring in. Oh, sorry, they're forecasting. My bad. My bad. All right, so they're forecasting positive 2.1% and a 1% increase. So far, you know, Great Britain CPI year over year, all is, you know, in world markets. Great Britain positive numbers, right? Euro positive numbers. So far, everything's looking pretty positive coming in from overall markets. Okay. All right, let's get into it. We have a little bit of earnings we want to review, definitely. And we'll just get going. Zoom info, Q4 EPS at 18 cents versus 13 cents, right? I've traded this once or twice. I'm just not super bullish on this. There's other ones I do want to look at. For example, Acme, fourth quarter adjusted EPS at $1.49 versus $1.42. Revenues at $905 million versus $899 million. Entered into a definitive agreement to acquire Linoid Limited Liability Company for $900 million. Right? So they had good earnings, they had good numbers, right? They are acquiring a new company. Why the drop? I don't even know why they're dropping. Makes sense. Like, look at that. Beat on earnings, beat on revenue. Still the drop. All right. Well, Viacom, Roblox all had earnings yesterday. And Viacom shares are down 6%. Ugh, that's a bad drop. right down to below the 50. I would say daily bottom incoming at 31. 31 even, possibly weekly bottom at 29.92. This just doesn't move enough for me. Shares are down 6%, EPS at 26 versus 43, revenue at 8 billion versus 7.5. Added 9.4 million global streaming subscribers led by Paramount Plus, reaching over 56 million subs as their streaming revenue rose. They said they're going to rebrand to Paramount Global. Huh. Talk about an earnings run up to the drop. Ooh, that's ugly. Roblox shares are down 12%. So ugly, right? It was doing so good, but for our bottom, for our mid, for our top, is there a possible bounce? Watch for this 50 to bounce off the 200. That would be bullish, 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 right? Squeeze fired off to the downside. Looking at maybe a dead cat bounce. So earnings per share, negative 25 cents versus negative 13 cents. Revenues, 568 million versus estimated 772. Bookings at 770 versus 763. And in line with estimates, reported January revenue at 203 to 206 million. Daily active users, 59.7 million. Okay. It's got some work to do. We could go for our bottom, for our mid, for our top, right? If we get a little bit of curling over and some conviction coming in. One more second. I gotta go make sure she's awake. All right, so she's awake, which is good. What to do about Roblox? Well, like I said, we need to just kind of be a little patient and see what happens. If this 4-hour bottom holds, right, we could retest the 4-hour mid, right? So 61 to 68. If the 4-hour bottom breaks, we could retest the daily bottom at 57, right? Which would also be the weekly cloud bottom, 56, 67. I did do the iron fly. I did the 72.57, 72.85 iron fly. I got $1,000 credit, so I was risking 400 to make 1,500. So I'll be closing that out first thing in the morning. Okay. Other news. Let's see. Airbus said it had finalized a deal to sell 7 A350 Freightliners to Singapore Airlines, and a deal that would make it the first airline to operate the new model. Right, BA can be affected with that news. Right, BA has just been consolidating. 5,200 positive. Nice little bull flag forming here. We're going to retest the daily top. Right, trying to retest that daily top here. So for our bottom, for our mid, looking for our top. However, right, off of, I mean, the BA looks pretty decent in a squeeze. Ready and fires, getting ready to fire after the upside. Double green. 1321, 3450 are all positive. If we can go over this downtrending overhead resistance, right? This guy right here. You guys know how I feel about BA, but yeah, there it is. All right, you break that bull flag breakout. We quickly run up, test 220, 220.73 above 221 for that move to 222. I think we can get super woody with it and start looking at previous highs. However, right, got to have that bull flag breakout. 5,200 rising. Kind of choppy though. 15 bottom, 15 top, 15 mid, 15 bottom, 15 top, 15 mid. Play the 15s. Look at this squeeze though. This is a medium compression squeeze. Little slingshot getting ready to happen. Depending on what happens with the overall market, I've got support at 215. Sorry, 216. Below 216, we retest 215. Below 215, we come back down to 4-hour bottom at 210. That's BA. Biotech sector remains pressured. 1 out of every 4 biotechs that went public in 2020 is trading at valuation below its cash reserves, according to a new news analysis of data from the financial database provider Centio. Right? CRISPR. Remember, we trade CRSP. EPS at 184 versus 177 loss. Revenues 12.3 million versus 2.27 million, up from 0.5 million year over year, with an increase primarily attributed to its collaboration with VRTX. Right? That's good earnings. Okay. Those are good earnings. Definitely. Slingshot squeeze getting ready to release. We can get above the 4-hour mid. So if we break above, let's just call it 61. All right, so the safe move is above 61.50, 62.50, 63 for a move up to 64. I like that. I like that. Lots of momentum and pressure building on the lower end. Okay. BNTX said it is developing Turkey mRNA manufacturing facilities based on a container solution to promote scalable vaccine production in Africa. It's expected to deliver its first drug in 2022, comprising of 1 drug substance and 1 formulation module. Look at this. This is a great move. Totally missed it. All right, so for our bottom, for our mid, 34 EMA, resistance 166, above 166, we see 171, possibly 173, okay? Watch for the rejection of this 15,200. If we can get above it, like I said, above 166, then we get a stronger move to the upside. Slingshot, reversal squeeze, getting ready to release. Just kind of choppy, right? Not a whole lot of strength and momentum. I'm not really seeing any squeezes on the 4-hour to help us out, okay? All right, next up on our list is in financials, Upstart. I don't know why I didn't trade this yesterday. Oh, so upset about it. Upstart announces 400 million share repurchase program. Q4 EPS at 89 cents versus 51. Q4 revenues rose 252% to 305 million versus the estimated 262. Sees Q1 revenues at around 300 million versus 258. Sees yearly revenues at about 1.4 billion versus 1.21 billion. This is a very bullish stock. Very, very bullish stock. What do we have going on here? Squeeze, earnings squeeze released above the 50, rallied up, retested the 4-hour or the weekly bottom Keltner channel cloud as support. Maintain that. Next move, 200-day at 185. Above 150, we hit 185. We got, we're getting really close to trifecta mode. So if we can bull flag breakout, if we can do a gap and go on this sucker, there's definitely room to move. I would say above 140, 150 comes in pretty quickly. And then magnet to about 180. Upstart's pretty bullish, y'all. Pretty bullish. That's a longer term effect. Ooh, Upstart's gonna be. Oh, it's gonna be so good. All right. All right. The key with Upstart is gonna be this is zone here. It's going to be the important zone. Let's see if I can get it drawn up correctly. Okay. So the move is above. So we go 140. Yeah, 140, 150, 165. Contrarian. We break down below, well, we back test the 4 hour if we break back into the 4 hour, right? So below 127, excuse me, 128. There's just a lot of support here, right? We have the 4 hour top, we have the daily top, we have the weekly cloud, right? $128, 125, 123, 120, right? That would be pretty significant move back. Okay. API weekly reported crude inventories fell 1.1 million barrels. Crude inventories at Cushing fell 2.4 million barrels, and gasoline inventories are down 0.9 million barrels. Right? Wynn Resorts to sell real estate up Encore Boston Harbor for $1.7 billion. Q4 adjusted EPS loss of negative 1.37 versus estimated 1.25. Q4 revenues at $1 billion versus $994 million. Revenues from Macau, $131 million for Q4 2021. So 27.6 decrease from the $181 million year over year. Too bad. Let's see. So we're stack positive. We got some, I mean, we've got strength and momentum, right? We could do daily Kelt top to 4 hour top, right? 94 to 97, possibly 98, or we could do weekly mid fallen or 4 hour mid fallen. So below 93.75, 91, and potentially 90. Okay. And then, the S&P Small Cap 600 constituent Old National Bank Corp will replace Urban Edge Properties in the small cap, or in the S&P Mid Cap 400. Urban Edge Properties will replace Old National Bank Corp in the small cap 600, and Corsair Gaming will replace First Midwest Bank Corp in the small cap 600 effective Friday. Corsair making it into the small caps. It's so bullish for that stock. Oh, man. Which is good. This is a good, I think this is a good long-term hold. I'm going to look at grab some shares of this on any sort of weakness, right? I would love to get in around 2250 or even as low as 2150 or 21. So 21, 2150, 2250. Those might be my buy targets if we can get some pullbacks. If it's just going to continue to rip, then I've missed the boat, right? I'll just leave some alerts there and possibly get back in on some, maybe another pullback. But yeah, this is going to be a little bit more consistently traded now because it's going to be in the small cap. Okay. Cruise operators, Carnival, Norwegian, and Royal Caribbean look to add to recent gains after the CDC reduced its warning to level 3 from 4 in response to a decline in onboard beer bug cases, but still recommended that people who were not up to date with vaccines avoid cruises. Yes, these have been moving recently, right? Moving pretty good. Coming into some resistance though. All right. Airbnb. Let's go, baby. Q4 EPS at 8 cents versus 3 cents. Revenues at 1.53 billion versus 1.6. Q4 gross bookings value at 11.3 billion and sees Q1 nights and experiences booked to significantly exceed levels for the first time. Yes, let's go. Oh, I didn't know I didn't trade this yesterday. I talked about it on the stream. I was like, oh, I missed a boat. I missed the boat. Well, I missed the boat again. I see 200 incoming. So let's look at this. Let's look at it this way, right? So perfect for our bottom, for our mid, for our top. Backtest for our top for a weekly top magnet at 200. Maybe possibly pull back. If we break down into the 4-hour cloud, we have for our mid, which would be a 21 period retrace, right? If we retrace to the 21, I'm going to look at getting in on these, right? So here's the move. Okay. Looks like we've got a couple wicks down already that may have ripped out all the stops. This is just a double green like momentum trade, right? I'm looking for weakness. So below 182. We retest previous highs coming in at 177 and then possibly retest the 4-hour mid at 174. I don't think we break down below. This is bullish, right? 1321, 34, 50, 200, super bullish. Had a squeeze release. Look for, right, 6 to 8 periods. So another 16 hours. So another 2 days of continuation of that squeeze releasing. Yeah, just Airbnb is super bullish. Okay. In world news, we've got UK inflation unexpectedly accelerated a fourth month as annual price growth rose 5.5%, a new year 30-year high, raising prospects for aggressive rate hike by its BOE in March meeting. Yeah, we kind of knew that. Earnings after the close, we've got Sam Adams, QS, Nvidia has earnings today. Be aware of that. Look for sympathy in AMD and Qualcomm based on those earnings. FSLY has earnings today. They were in the weekly watch list a couple weeks ago. Cisco has earnings today. Applied Materials has earnings today. AMAT, earnings before the bell. The Trade Desk, Hilton, Crocs. Just a bunch of other little ones. Okay. 8:30 events, which are going to be coming up here in about 10 minutes. Import prices, month over month, export prices, advanced retail sales, retail auto sales, and industrial production all coming in. Coming in at 8:30, 9:15 industrial production and capital capacity utilization at 9:15, and then at 10 housing market index and business inventories month over month, and then at 10:30 weekly DOE inventory data. So lots of events this morning, right? Lots of events, and let me just get this broken up and posted. All right, after a strong day Tuesday for U.S. stocks surging in the final minutes of trading to close at its best levels of the day, U.S. futures are looking a little change, down slightly with the S&P around 4460, but holding again above its key 200-day moving average for support of 4450, right? Well, we broke that. No, we haven't broke it yet. As markets await a busy day ahead for economic data, January import-export prices, retail sales, industrial production, NAHB housing, and business inventories for December are all on the calendar. U.S. major averages snapped a 3-day losing streak yesterday on apparent easing tensions between Russia and the Ukraine, as the Russian defense minister said they had pulled some troops back from the border. This news overshadowed another higher inflation reading PPI data in the U.S. A common theme over the last month, which has triggered forecasts as many as 5 rate hikes between now and the end of the year by the Fed to cool prices. Britain recorded the fastest inflation since '92 last month at 5.5%, a tally that ensures that Bank of England will raise rates again for the 3rd time since December. In cryptocurrency exposed stocks, they rallied as the Bitcoin extended its recent rebound above the $44,000 level, and in Asian markets, The Nikkei index surged 600 points or 2.2%. Shanghai is up 0.57%, and the Hang Seng gained 1.49%. The DAX is a little changed, and the FTSE is down about negative 20 points. So lots of news, right? The news will affect us. I think the biggest takeaway from today so far is that the market is in lazy couch potato mode. It doesn't want to do anything. It doesn't want to give us any clear direction. It just wants to chop around. So, and it's super tough to play this market. The non-directional plays are probably best. So iron flies, iron condors. If you wanted to do a butterfly, possibly. So any of that just neutral based advanced option strategies are definitely on the table, because it's really hard to get enough momentum to not let the theta burn kill you in your options contracts. Just a real quick peek at our bread and butter stocks over the last, the overnight moves on those. I want to go ahead and look at the 5-minute chart. Maybe we go to the 15. Maybe that's a little better view. The 10. The 5 is probably pretty good. So rally into the close, super chop overnight. AMD, right? Big rally into the close, super chop overnight. Same thing with Google. Google doesn't really trade overnight. Nvidia, up and down and up and down and up and down. Nvidia is still maintaining its strength and conviction. Tesseract is like, when do we see Tesla move this choppy, right? 920, 928, $8 candles, right? What's going on, Tess? Right? I mean, you had the nice bull flag breakout to another bull flag breakout to a chop fest. Okay. If Tesla breaks below 917.50, 912 incoming, below that we see 900. Okay. You'll SPY, right? We had a rally into the close. We gapped up, pulled back, we gap filled, right? And we've just been kind of chopping ever since. Same thing with the NQ, right? I have a little bit more data on the NQ, up and back and up and back. We're holding the 200 on the lower time frames for the NQ. We break below 354, I think, or excuse me, 355. Then we start getting ugly, and we've got to look for some downside targets. And then the S&P index. This is the move yesterday. See how we gapped up? We gapped, consolidated, and rallied into the close. This gap's got to be filled at some point, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. All right. I'm going to go wake up some people. We're going to take a real quick break, and then I will get into the plays. Let's just call it a 6-minute break, right? And then we will get into it. All right, I'm back. I clicked on the wrong thing. All right, let's get into it. So this, ooh, hold on. Volatility. All right, let's see what's going on here. Oh, man. 3.3%. 3.8%. All right, let's see. Come on, give us the numbers. All right, the market is reacting to that, obviously. Initial little flushes, right? Initial flush. It's really fighting the Dow, right? The Dow is probably going to let us know. Big moves are getting ready to happen as the U.S. kind of absorbs that CPI data, or excuse me, manufacturing data. There it goes. We're going to get a nice, probably get a nice little rip off of this. Oh, I got such a bad fill. I just grabbed a futures trade off of this potential rip. All right, 200 is going to be super important. See what happens when we kiss these levels, right? All right, so we beat on all expectations, right? So good moves for the market. All right, the market is going to absorb that pretty well. However, we've got that elusive 200-day that's just stuffing everything. The Russell small cap did break above the 200. So like I said, I think the Russell might have the best potential with the Nasdaq with the least potential, right? So we'll see what happens here. Oh man, I'm about to get stopped out. It's all right. I got such a bad fill anyway. Nasdaq didn't even hit the 200 before it rejected. All right. There's a fight going on. There's definitely fighting happening here, right? Bulls are like, we want to take over. The bears are like, no, we own it. All right, so let's get into it. So next section is the flow index, right? This is a smart money, dark pool, and block trade algorithm software provided by FlowTrade. It tracks large institutions, hedge funds, smart money, dark pools, block trades, transactions, okay? And it's created this flow index. The flow index is the purple line, white bars are price action, red lines across the screen are regular block trades, blue lines across the screen are dark pool block trades, white lines are fun, but mainly white lines are when a dark pool and a regular block trade print on top of each other. Those are major key inflection points, right? Keep an eye on those, see what's happening there. Big old gap up on Tesla to dark pool support yesterday, and it's trying to make it move up out of that. Flow index is making higher lows and higher highs. Okay, so let me get into the requests and we will get going. First of all, Morning Killer, Johnny, Rocco, welcome. First time listener, welcome. Terry, what's up? Andrea, how you doing? Ludwig, watchlist, and DJ, good to see you again. Michael, welcome. And what's up, Laz? Laz kind of freaked me out, man. He went to Colombia, was like, I'm in Colombia, and then went dark. I was like, bro, do you need me to call the embassy? Do you need me to bail you out? I was worried about him. All right, so requests. Let's look at FCX, right? FCX from the weekend watch list, see how Freeport McMoran has fared. pretty good, right? And metals, right? Materials. Airbnb, Clorox, Micron, right? Let's see what we got. Then Nvidia, Roku, Facebook, and SPY. Okay, let's look at it first up. Coming in hot is Freeport McMoRan. This is a copper plate. They are a copper. That was Airbnb. What happened? What happened? Let's try this again. All right, Freeport McMoRan, right off a white line support. See our regular and dark pool printed right there. What happened? Found some support and has been moving up off of it through regular black trade to dark trade resistance, right? We've got the flow index is making a series of higher lows and higher highs. So with Freeport McMoRan, from the weekend watch list, remember coming into this week, I said look for it. You know, we had a little bit of bullish divergence, right? The bearish divergence had played out. So I was looking for a series of higher lows and higher highs with the flow index. That's what it's done, right? I anticipate it continue to pull price action since we were in a trading zone up with it. First test at about 44, and let's go 44 to 44.20. From 44.25, we think we see a move back up to 45, right? Maintaining trendline support and just kind of pulling price action up with it. Pretty decent move on FCX. Moving over to Airbnb. Now, remember, Airbnb had earnings, so I typically try not to play directional plays on earnings for a couple of different reasons. Theta just will destroy you. Ivy Crush is a real deal. A little white line resistance support at 177.08. That's a pretty key level. You know, previous highs, right? Regular and dark pools have printed off of that. 180, got a dark pool level there. What's happening with the flow index? So the flow index is a little bit bearishly diverged while trading with price. Okay, so trading with price there, a little bit of bearish divergence, a little bit of bearish divergence. Flow index is trying to curl around. There is a gap to fill from 172 down to 170. Lots of dark pool support coming in at 170, right? This all came in yesterday at the open, right? We gapped up off of it, hit some immediate resistance, right? Looks like maybe some profit taking occurred and then continuation on. So at this point, I would keep an eye on the flow index to see if it can break over its little resistance that it's got going on here. This is a nice little double bottom, right? And it's coming up to resistance. So really see what's happening here. If it can continue to pull price with it, should be a good move, right? If we do pull back, I would look for 177 as support. Below that, we trade down to 173. Below 173, we back test 170. Okay. All right. Next up on the list was Clorox. All right. So talk about failed moves. I was really anticipating something a little bit better from this stock, right? We opened up and pulled back, and there was a move from 140 to about 145, but we're just definitely caught in this zone. I was thinking above 145 or excuse me 146, we could start gap filling. A little bit of bullish divergence. Watch what happens with this flow index at this level. Okay, so this is previous, right? This is a previous support resistance level for the flow index. Last time it rallied up, back tested it, used it for support, and we had that move from 140 to 145, 140 to 145. Should be bouncing here. Is it enough to get Clorox above 143.69, which is the regular block resistance at this point? So if the flow index can bounce up and make a new high, it can pull price action up with it. We do have some resistance here. Looks like we're trying to form a little bit bigger of a wedge going on. Right, this was the support, right? So if we reject this resistance, we would look to trade down to 140, or excuse me, 141, 140, and then possibly as low as 138. Flow index would have to curl down and start moving back. Oh my gosh, the market is so indecisive right now. All right, it rallied up to previous high at 44.65. Kind of got stuffed there. Now it's pulling back. Like, ugh. kind of ugly. All right, Micron is the next one up. All right. This is a good example of how price interacts with these regular and these dark pool levels, right? So gap up, support, broke it, a bunch of sell orders, finally got down to a key level, right? So flow index is selling off at this time. They start buying into this pullback, right? So this little divergence right here is played out, right? Big old move up, double top, flow index starts taking profits, right? They're still taking profits all the way down. Flow index is taking profits, pulling price action with it, right? Flow index is moving with price, right? So got to move up, you got to move up. Flow index is pointing down. Are they going to start taking profits and pulling price back down with it? So 96 is that key level. Move back down to 94, below 94. I think we back test 92.50. All of these regular blocks right here will be for support. We have a white line, which is at that 90 level where a regular and a dark pool are printed on top of each other. That's our key level. That's our base, basically, right? Gapped up, gap filled, gapped up. There's a gap right here. Do we come back and backfill this gap? Keep an eye on the flow index. It's kind of got a little bit of a base right here. A little bit of a base going on right there. If it breaks through those, it can definitely pull price down pretty quickly. So lower low, right? Made a low, lower low, right? Kind of reversed a little bit. It's just got to get back into this upward momentum. Okay. Next up is, what do we got here? What did I miss? Hold on. Freeport, Micron, Clorox, MU, FX, Airbnb. I'm going to look at Roku, Facebook, SPY, and Nvidia. All right, I think those are going to be the last ones I'm going to be able to do. Okay. So Roku, we've got price trading with the flow index. Maybe an inverted head and shoulder forming here, right? Flow index has made higher lows and higher highs. We're coming to the top of a trading zone. Or we're just beginning to trade into another one. So we've got dark pool resistance at 168.15. That came in after the close yesterday, right? The flow index at that point was taking profits, right? Previous high. So I would say above 180, 169, 171, 175. We reject this and we go below 167.40. We have a move back down to 163, 160. And the flow index needs to continue to make higher lows and higher highs, and it could pull price up with it. Okay. Facebook. What is going on with the Facebook? The book face. All right. Lots of consolidation. Lots of regular and dark pools happening here. Let me see something. Did we get a real rip on that? Did we do 220 to 226? We didn't. So that data is flawed. All right. If the flow index can continue to make higher lows and higher highs, it may pull price action up with it. But it looks as if, though, there's been a pretty nasty pullback. So we've got some divergence happening, right? Facebook's trading at 214, so it's trading at these lows. It looks like it made a new low. Yeah, it did. I'd be super interested to see what happens. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I got stopped out on that. Yeah, this is fake data here. This is not a real move. So the flow index was trading with price, dark pool at 221, regular blocks all the way down. It's wiped out all of those. So Facebook is currently trading at 213, right? What is going on? So Facebook and Roblox are both getting hit pretty hard right now. Yeah, with Facebook, I'd have to see how the algo repaints at the open, right? That just doesn't look like a normal spike, right? Nvidia, bearish divergence. Nvidia has earnings, so obviously we can't play directional stuff on Nvidia. I would like the flow index has been taking profit this whole time, right? They're still taking profits. Double bottom, trying to make a lower low. Nvidia came up. Dark pool 264.41, 264.95, 263.50. Regulars at 249.50. Like nice moves up, but knowing that the flow index, this divergence that's occurred way down here at 240, it's going to act as a magnet to pull price back down with it, right? So this little micro divergence here played out just like that. So we have new divergence at this level where price is heading up, flow index is still steady heading down. So based on Nvidia earnings, we'll have to really see what happens with that, right? They're just being squeezed right now. So we'll check Nvidia tomorrow, looking at it, how it moved yesterday. It moved pretty decent, right? Bearish divergence all the way across the board, right? So it wants to be pulled back. All right. And finally up on the board, we have SPY. Was it SPY? Yeah, we didn't do the SPY yet. The SPY had a day yesterday. All right, I don't need that many. All right, last 3 days of block trades for the SPY are, looks like it's basing at 444.45, or excuse me, 445, 446 to the upside consolidation. So if we can break out of that, we can trade up to 450, right? If we break down below this regular block at 444, we have a gap, or we'll have a kind of an open area that we would trade quickly back down to all these regular blocks at 440. There's a dark pool level right here that didn't get filled, right? Let me show you what that looks like. Let's see if I can get zoomed in enough for everybody to see that. All right, so this dark pool right here, right at 439.15 has not been filled yet. Okay, that's where that block came in. That's a little dot. So that's a downside magnet, 439 downside magnet. If the flow index continues, like if it reverses here, it doesn't make a higher, high, and it actually makes a lower low. Look for that magnet to pull price back down. This block's got to be filled. This gap's got to be filled. When does it happen? I'm not exactly sure when. And then while I'm here, I just might as well look at the QQQ and then wrap it up. Okay. So speaking of QQQs, everything's reversing. You want to peep in on the futures real quick? There it goes. Rip, rally, rip, right? Everything's kind of falling off a cliff. Bonds are ripping. The yen is ripping. Gold is ripping. Crude is not really doing anything. But look at that. All of our U.S. futures are down. I don't know if some news came out, but I don't think it has to do with these numbers that were reported, to be honest with you. Right? These are decent numbers that came out. However, I don't know if there's Ukraine news, right? Not seeing anything. Just updates, right? All right, so that was the SPY, and then I'll do the QQQ. All right, so QQQ, we've got that bullish or bearish divergence, very similar to what was going on with the SPY. However, there we go. However, the flow index is making lower lows, right? It's made a lower high and a lower low, right? There's that gap in the Qs. There's no real block trades that have not yet printed, but there's a base down here and there's a gap that needs to be filled. So if we reject this 356 dark pool, look for 354, 352.93 regular block retest. Below that, I think we backfill and gap. We backfilled the gap. Secretary Blinken said they see Russian forces continuing towards the border, not our way. Ooh, clap. Market's going to get clapped. Dow's being hit pretty hard, so is small caps. All right, this is our bread and butter list. Let's bring it to the 3 minutes so we can get an idea of what's moving. Tesla didn't like that news. Like, I don't know if we gap fill down to the downside today. SPY filled the overnight gap. AMD filled the overnight gap. They're all coming to key levels of support, right? There's a saying, so goes Apple, so goes the market. So we can keep it on Apple. If it starts breaking down below 171.87, 170, 170.50, Tesla is back into this little purple line. I got to figure out what those are. Oh, Tesla rack getting clapped. I did have puts on Tesla going into yesterday. I closed yesterday. The 825s that I had hit my risk tolerance, so I had to close those out for a loss, but I do have the 850, so should be an interesting day. All right, I got to run. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day. I'm Darko Algo. I will see you all tomorrow. Yeah, this is pretty bearish. Not going to try to call tops or bottoms, but you know, give it a couple hours to settle in and see if we can get a clear direction. Right now, there's just panic happening. Alrighty.